Welcome along to a beautiful looking day in the Netherlands. We are here with GRS Tier 3 Round 5 in Zandvoort, and we're going to be kicking off qualifying here in just a moment. Once again, in the commentary booth is Blake Ward. That is me. And let's, oh, my controller isn't working the way I want it to, but that's okay. We've already got someone coming out on track, and it looks like Mitch Snape. Oh, let's get a ride on board real quickly with him. Always liked this track since they added it in, was it 2020 or 2021? Very fun to drive on, but a bit difficult to go side by side with anybody. It's quite narrow at, well, most of it. Oh my, I've really messed up the buttons on my controller. That's no problem. I'll get that going, but yes, this turn in particular, downhill, very fast sweeping right-hander. Take as much curb as you can, but if you go too far, the car will bottom out and spin. And take a bunch of curb on the inside, the car will bounce, but that's okay. Turns 8, 9, and 10, just continuously tightening right-handers before you get into the very long turn 11. Just seems to go on forever. Constantly either understeering or losing the rear there. Let's get up some. Not that. Yes, this and that. There we go. I know what I'm doing. Here we go then. Mitch Snape starts us off on our first flying lap as he rounds the final banked corner in the Haas. Up into 8th gear already down the pit straight. Take a ride on board. Very late braking into this corner. You can take a lot of speed into it, and you kind of want to apex late as well. Quick left-right sequence before the very tight banked left-hander of turn 4. Very nicely done. And a winding straight, I guess you could call it, a series of flat corners. More like it. Just a bit of a break and downshift into turn 8. Bit of a break and a downshift into turn 9. And guess what? It's a bit of a break and a downshift into turn 10. All right-handers. Gotta take turn 11 very cautiously. Don't want to be too eager on the throttle or too late on the brakes, but very well done by Snape so far. Coming up to the infield section now. Plenty of curb on the inside. Going slow enough that's not going to unsettle the car too much. And someone has been disqualified for going the wrong way. That's an interesting start. As Snape rounds the final corner once again to finish off our first flying lap. What's the time going to be? It is a 1:13.6 for the Haas driver. Now on to... Mac is just finishing a lap, and it's a 1:11, already 2 seconds faster is Kyle Mack. We've got an Alfa Romeo just finishing up a lap now, just starting a lap. One of the two. Backlick in the other Haas with a 1:28. That is a bit slow, so perhaps taking another slow lap. Cheatin Menda on an out lap. Sam Hussein getting the tires warmed up. Who's going to be next across the line? I see the Red Bull of Talon Sheik, who has invalidated. And as our reserve driver there, Jamie Pywell. Just finishing up a lap now. Looks to be a 1:13.3, so 3 times in the 1:13s already. Kyle Mack holds the top spot with a 1:11, so everyone's going to have to be gunning for that time. As Sam Hussein sets a blistering 1:38. We've got a Mercedes crossing the line now to start a lap. Callum Pierce. As our race winner last time out, Adam Sneezer, I'm gonna go with that pronunciation, is still in the pit lane. I want to call him anything other than Adam in the AlphaTauri. Right then, riding on board with Callum Pierce, I believe there is a Ferrari off at the infield section. And just rejoining is Sam Hussein. So certainly not going to be improving right away on that 138. So we head back with the Mercedes around the final couple of corners now. It's looking good so far for Pierce. And into the 112s, so still a little bit off the pace of Kyle Mack's first lap. That was a blistering first lap from the McLaren. There we go, back like into the pit lane. Anyone on a lap here? Talon Sheik is 2 seconds down. Corey is almost out of energy. Gene Mendes on a slow lap, it looks like. Jamie Pywell is on a slow lap, it looks like. As is Mark here. Wonderful. Oh, here we go. Just jumped on board with Harvey Conway as he crosses the line for a 1 minute 12. So, very close time so far. 111 still holds the first spot, but it's 112s all the way down to 7th place. And then 113s all the way down to 12th. So it's going to be a very tight-knit order here in qualifying. And hopefully a very tight-knit race as well. And completely out of energy for that Alfa Romeo. Looks like everyone's on an in lap, or in the pit lane at the moment. So a little bit of a break in the action in qualifying for the most part. Although Kyle Mack is on another outlap. And ooh, that was a little bit... Oh my. We've got a couple cars off here. We've got Harvey Conway off at the exit of turn 11, it looks like, in the Aston Martin, and reverses right into the path of an AlphaTauri, but thankfully ghosting is on, or that would have been a very bad collision, as I believe Kyle Mack is also making his way through at the moment on an outlap, so no interruptions there as he starts his lap. We'll ride on board with him. See if he can improve. Oh, there we go. Flying under the radar is Adam Sneeger, who sets a 1 minute 11 flat. Half a second faster than Kyle Mack can do so far, but he is on yet another flying lap, so we'll see if he can improve at all. He'll be seeing that time flash across his screen. Hopefully that'll give him a little bit more of a motivation than a distraction. Only 3 thousandths down in the first sector. Is he going to be able to make it up through the middle sector here? Very technical infield section here. Corners just coming at you and really not letting you go as the long turn 11. And just a little bit down in sector 2 as well, so Kyle Mack seeming to just match his earlier pace. Is there anything to be found in sector 3? He's going to be pushing for all of his might to find any scrap of pace that he can get back that provisional pole position, and he's going into the pit lane, so abandoning his lap. Unfortunately for us. Right then, has Talon just crossed the line to start a lap? I believe he has. We can just take a ride off board here with the Red Bull driver. Currently in 5th position with a 1 minute 12. Very close to Bakalik in 4th place there. Look at that. It's about, what, a 100th of a second? Very easy to find or lose just those little minuscule times, as he's actually 3/10 up in Sector 1 at the moment. A very good time through there. Will he be able to keep the rest of the lap under control as he takes a very wide line into the entry of turn 11? I don't dislike that at all. And it's a purple sector 2 as well, currently sitting almost 7/10 better than his previous lap. That'll put him on provisional pole for sure. Actually, will it? 7/10 up from his original time would give him, what, a 111.3? Put him in 2nd at the moment. Can he find a bunch more pace in the final sector? Not quite enough for provisional pole. At the moment, a 1:11.2 splits the difference between Adam and Kyle Mack. Still a very good lap from the Red Bull driver. Backlick is on some sort of lap here. Savage just going out. His teammate in the Williams looks like just finishing up a lap there for Valentino Orlando. Can I find anyone on a lap? Well, look at that. Callum Pierce once again. Crossing the line to start a lap just as I cut to him. Always like to see the different lines taken through the very tight turn 4. Some people prefer more outside lines, some people prefer the inside line. It's really a matter of preference and setup to see where you can find the pace. Callum Pierce heads now through turns 8, 9, and now 10. Looks to have that Mercedes well under control. Just a little bit of a miss of the apex there on the left, but no big harm done there. Looks to be a little understeery in the Mercedes, have to say. We'll see what kind of time he can put up now. Currently a 1:12, and just a little bit down, so not enough to improve his position there for Callum Pierce, but still a good 4th place at the moment. As there's a yellow flag, that's no big deal. 6 minutes to go then. And I believe there's a McLaren off the track here. That is actually Kyle Mack. So is he on another push lap? It looks like it. He's on full battery, or probably an outlap then. Probably an outlap. We'll go with that. Has Adam only done that single lap? I believe he has, but he is out on another one at the moment, just exiting the pit lane. So we'll have to catch him in just a moment. Oh, he has gone into the pit lane once again. Very well. I'll have to ride on board with Adam. Okay, sorry for the delay. We are just waiting for Adam to finish his outlap and head on a flying lap for us at the moment. Currently sits in provisional pole, 2/10 clear of Taylor Sheik behind him. Well, he'll certainly want to be improving that time. Never know where Sheik or Mac or anyone else can find a bunch of time here around Zandvoort. Here we go then, rounding the final corner. GRS open. Down the main straight to start. Will probably be his final lap for qualifying into turn 1. Just parks it neatly on the apex there. Not too wide, not too tight. As we cut away and head into turn 4. Bit more of an inside line there, passing the Ferrari on the left. Coming up to turn 8, very late on the brakes there, as you'd want to be. Had to get out of the gas a little bit and even heard the gravel a bit there, so might not be the tidiest lap so far for Adam Sneezer. Just barely clipping that curb on the inside, that's just about perfect. Just half a tenth down at the moment, and there's a Red Bull in front of him. Is he going to get out of the way? I don't know if he held up Adam at all, but certainly wouldn't be helpful. As he rounds the final corner once again, I would highly doubt this is an improvement on his time, and no, he's going into the pit lane, so that might be all Adam can muster at the moment. As Tail and Sheik was the Red Bull who is in front of him, now starts his lap, or does he finish it? No, he starts it. So we're right on board with the man in second place at the moment. Found quite a bit of time on his second lap around the circuit. See if he can find that time once again on his final tour of the track. Purple in Sector 1 just flicking it into Turn 8. Rounding turns 9 and 10 very nicely. It's looking tidy so far. Some people have elected for a more late apex for turn 11. Some people go in a bit earlier. Currently 10th and a half up. He's going to need all the time he can get now. Currently 2/10 down on Adam. Will he be able to find that speed in Sector 3? Taking plenty of curb on the outside. Doesn't unsettle his car too much though, it looks like. As he runs up to the line. It is good enough for provisional pole at the moment, so it's a 1 minute 10, the first of qualifying. Will anyone be able to answer to that? Kyle Mack is going to be on a lap, so he'll be looking at that time. Currently quite a bit of a spread from first to third at the moment. A late apex there in turn 8. A bit of a miss there in 9. Is he just on an out lap? It's possible. How much time is left in qualifying? Surely not too much. As there's a Red Bull off. And, well, there's only one Red Bull in the session. That's Tail and Cheek, who is retired from the session. And there's an Alfa Romeo off, too. It looks like might just be giving space for a passing McLaren as he rejoins the track right in the way of Kyle Mack. So hopefully he's not on a flying lap at the moment, but not much ERS usage, I wouldn't think so. So he's just going to be crossing the line with barely enough time to spare for an extra lap. He's not going to need any distractions like that going into his flying lap, but there's not many cars ahead of him, so not too worried there. Into turn 1, down into third gear, nicely on the apex on the right. Charging up to turn 4. Just slows it down a little bit and into the wall, and he's out. He's completely out of qualifying, so that's as good as Kyle Mack is going to do. It's a 1:11 for him. Is he going to be losing any positions to perchance William Corey and the other Alpha Tauri? Bakalik is in the pits. Callum Pierce seems to be finishing up a lap right now, so he's not going to be improving either. We're right on board with Will as no, I've completely missed this. Sam Hussein gets up into third. So very nice qualifying so far for the Ferrari driver. And William just a bit wide, and there was a stricken Alpha Tauri in front of him, so that was his teammate Adam Sneesher, as there's also a stricken Mercedes. So what is going on now? Everyone's trying to get the top time and pushing much too hard. Well, this is interesting, isn't it? Or is everyone simply just retiring on track? I wouldn't think so. That's not a very smart decision. William Corey rounds the final corner in his Alpha Tauri. Is it going to be an improvement? Unfortunately not. 0.8 down. And it appears nobody else is on a lap at the moment, so that'll do it for qualifying here in Zandvoort. Kalen Sheik takes the top spot before retiring. Takes that top spot from Adam Sneesher. And Sam Hussein in third position. Kyle Mack unfortunately lost it in turn 4 on his final lap. Still gets fourth position. That is not a bad result at all. William Corey in the Alpha Tauri in 5th, followed by Daniel Bakalik, Callum Pierce, Mark Vezjak. That is Harvey Conway in the Aston Martin. So Aston Martin running 8 and 9. Jeeton Menda down in 10th. Valentino Orlando in 11th. Powell in 12th. Elliott Savage in 13th for Williams. Mitch Snape down in 14th for Haas. Our reserve driver in Alfa Romeo, Charlie Gordon, down in 15th. And I am actually not certain who that is in 16th. in the other Mercedes. I'll have to take a look at that in just a moment. But stay tuned. We're going to be going into the race in just a moment. We'll see you then. Welcome back to GRS Tier 3 Round 5 in Zandvoort. We are just moments away from the race start. And looking forward to it. Hoping for a very exciting race here in the Netherlands. There's not many wonderful overtaking opportunities, but you have to make absolutely no mistakes to make sure that you can keep your pace up to keep your position. So we are going to the grid in just a moment. Here we are then. 5 red lights on, and they are out, and it's a bit of wheel spin for Tail and Sheik in first place, who might already be under pressure from Adam Sneezer behind him, who takes the inside into turn 1. Is he going to be able to make the move for first position? They're still side by side as the exit turn 1, but the Alpha Tauri is just a little bit ahead, and there's a little bit of contact behind. That's Alpha. Oh my goodness, there was a bit of contact behind that I was about to report on, but Adam Sneezer already out of the race as he comes together with Tail and Sheik, who has also lost his front wing, so that's a safety car just out of the first few corners here. So our front runners have already found themselves out of the race, or probably out of the race on terms of strategy, as Tail and Sheik will definitely be having to pit under the safety car. Kyle Mack inherits the lead from the Ferrari of Sam Hussein, and it is William Cowrie taking up the charge in AlphaTauri now that his teammate is in the wall. Backlick finds himself 4th. Sheik down in 5th. Callum Pearson 6th. And let's take a little bit of the time to get up some information here. Alright, starting tires for everyone. Looks like almost a 50-50 split on hard versus mediums, but a few hard runners finding themselves what was I saying? Hard runners finding themselves up near the top of the field. Sorry, just got myself a bit of distraction there. As Tail and Sheik does indeed go into the pit lanes, and might find himself dead last after contact on lap 1 with Adam Sneezer. Finds the AlphaTauri driver out of the race. Tail and Sheik finds himself without a front wing. And, oh, Mitch Snape is also into the pits, so that is, yes, okay, so that's some of the contact that we saw further back in turn 1. And has someone lost it under the safety car? Yes, Jamie Pywell in the Alfa Romeo has looped it coming out of turn 3, it looks like. Might have lost a few positions there. Actually, let's go to the position change because that was a very chaotic start here. Detail position change. So Elliott Savage finds himself in a very good position, as does his teammate Valentino Orlando, finding themselves in 7th and 6th, respectively. I believe they started somewhere around 11th and 12th, if I remember correctly. Kyle Mack from 3rd on the grid, 3rd or 4th on the grid, finds himself in 1st. Talon Sheik down 15 places in 16th position. Alright. A bit of a false start there, perchance. Just getting everyone a little cooled down under the safety car. We'll be waiting for just a moment as Mitch Snape is beginning to rejoin the tail of the safety car queue now. Probably one more lap of safety car to go. Kyle Mack feels no need for warming his hard tires. Just going straight, and side by side with the safety car, telling him to get a little bit of a move on. So the safety car this early, I don't think anyone that didn't have to pit has been in. Let me just make absolutely certain of that before I find myself incorrect. Detail, there we go, stops, yep, okay, so only the 2 drivers that needed to stop have done so far. So all the drivers probably extending their first stint, maybe 1 or 2 laps into the race, but no huge shakeups on strategy at the moment. As let me pull up the tire graphic again, that one's always useful to have. Top 5 on hard tires, then 6th through 10th on medium tires, and then it's a bit of a split all the way down the field. So we'll be seeing lots of racing on the track, in the pit lane. Everyone's going to be having to find time everywhere, as I assume the safety car will be in quite soon, and indeed, there's a notification in this lap, so Kyle Mack takes control of the field, and he will be leading us away out of the final corner onto a restart here. Getting everyone nice and backed up. And what in the world have I just witnessed? Was that contact actually enough to take Sam Hussein out of the session, as he gets seemingly pit maneuvered by William Curry behind him in the AlphaTauri? What in the world has gone on there? Just puts him into the wall. You're not supposed to be going side by side during the safety car, and that's a very prime reason why, as Kyle Mack goes early and maybe catches William off guard here. He's probably going to be under pressure from Daniel Bakulik very quickly in that Haas. Is he going to dive down the inside? Yes, he is. They're going to be side by side into turn 1. We've seen this go wrong already for some front runners here. Still side by side on the exit. And they're going to be racing into turn 4. William with the inside line, but there's still grip to be found on the outside, and Daniel Bakulik seems to have that move made. So up into second already, and there's a 2-second gap up to Kyle Mack up the road already, as Valentino Orlando is now fighting with his teammate and maybe getting up to the back of William Curry as well. The Williams getting a very good restart in 3rd and 4th. There's a few drivers off, and Kyle Mack's out. Kyle Mack is off the track. Not sure what happened there. I wasn't paying attention to him, as he was already quite a fair way up the road. But not anymore, as he finds himself down in 14th place. That gives the lead to Daniel Bakulik. Our reserve driver, Charlie Gordon, is also off. Jamie Pywell and the other Alfa Romeo, I believe, was off as well. Just some spins, no huge damage, I would assume. No safety car, at least. But Daniel Bakulik leads the field from William Curry, Elliott Savage, and Valentino Orlando. So, yet another chaotic start here in Zandvoort, and there's an Aston Martin who has lost it on the final corner. That seems to be Harvey Conway. Let me just go down to him. And is that a lack of a front wing for the Aston Martin? It is, so he'll be having to pit as well. So everything's going awry for some drivers here. Keeping it clean are the front runners, Mitch Snape and Jack Cockane, just fighting out a little bit in turn 1. And there's another Alfa Romeo off the track in the final corner. Here we go, settle down, boys. Mark Vesjak and Callum Pierce getting very close. Medium tires versus hard tires, so Is Callum going to be succumbing to the superior grip of the medium tires? Although there is not a left side end plate on the front wing of that Aston Martin that allows Powell in the McLaren through. So he'll be using his medium tires to get up to Callum Pearson instead. As the front two have already broken away from the Williamses already. Bit of a gap forming behind William Corey. As there's a bit of side-by-side action, and maybe that Mercedes just going a little bit deep there is caught Jeeton Menda and also Mitch Snape off guard, who had to take a bit of avoiding action. Just bunches up the field a little bit there in the back. Talon Sheik will be fighting his way back up to the points positions for sure. He's already up into 12th, and plenty of action has already gone on further up the field. Things just starting to settle down a little bit. Everyone finding their rhythm, although still some very close gaps here. Mitch Snape very close to the back of that Mercedes. Is he going to be going for a move down into the long right-hander? Not on this occasion. The Mercedes is on hard tires, and everyone behind him is on mediums. At least the two drivers behind him are on mediums, so seems to be he's holding up the group a little bit. He's going to be gaining all that time back further on in the race, but he'll be wanting to get a move on, not losing any positions there, as boy oh boy, there's another yellow flag for another Alfa Romeo. Oh, here we go then, side-by-side action, and the Mercedes just loses out some Mitch Snape. More contact made in the infield there. Goodness. Menda and Vezjak looking to be going side-by-side as, just about, pitting from the outside line is Vezjak, so was he the one without a front wing end plate? We are under safety car conditions now. There's far too much going on here for me to keep up with. Safety car is back out. I'm not quite sure who caused that one, as everyone seems to be going on track. But this will bunch up the field once again. Goodness me. So Bakalik still leads the field from Corey. It's the Williamses in third and fourth, Savage and Orlando. Will the medium runners be wanting to pit under the safety car? I think it would be a bit of a long stint on the hard tires. Be a bit risky. There is, of course, plenty of a chance for a late safety car for maybe a two-stopper for our medium runners, but it's a risk for sure. It's a risk for sure. We'll see if anyone wants to be diving into the pit lane here. Well then, Talon Sheik finds himself up into 8th already, so our pole sitter who found himself into the barriers after turn 2, up into the points positions again, and Bakalik just faking into the pit lane, so everyone knows that there's a chance that you might be wanting to pit now. Will anyone take that opportunity? Sheik is in, so our pole sitter is in to get rid of the hard tires. So interesting. I would think that the medium runners would want to get rid of them at the moment, as he needs a new front wing. So that is front wing number 3 total for Talon Sheik. Started on 1, got 1 replaced, and got another replaced just now. So new mediums for him. We'll have to see how that strategy goes, as I believe he's the only one looking to pit. So nobody just getting new tires. Oh, I see he's actually racing an Aston Martin on exit there. And just finds himself ahead of Mark Vezjak. Alright. you're just joining us, we're under safety car number 2 after a very chaotic lap 1 found our front 2 runners out of contention in the first couple of corners, plus a little bit of contact behind brought out the first safety car. Still not entirely certain what brought out this second safety car. There were a few spins for the Aston Martins and the Alfa Romeos, but they're all moving, no retirement, so it must have just been for a bit of debris on the track. As we were just waiting for Harvey Conway to find himself at the back of the safety car queue so that we can get going again. I would assume the safety car will be in at the end of this lap. Backlick leads the field from William Corey and Elliott Savage and Valentino Orlando, followed by Callum Pierce. Powell in the McLaren, Mitch Snape in 7th, but he'll have to be getting a move on as I think he might be finding himself with a penalty post-race. Jack Cockane in the Alpine in 8th. Kyle Mack down in 9th after, I would assume, is an unforced error in the first few laps. Jeeton Menda down in 10th. Jamie Powell in 11th for Alfa Romeo. Talon Sheik in 12th after 2 front wing replacements so far. Mark Bezjak in 13th. That Mercedes just went off the track. And that is someone that I was Boraxia. What a beautiful name that is. And then Harvey Conway just getting up to the back of the field. Safety car is in this lap, so Daniel Bakalik leads us away. As these front 2 are going to be coming under pressure early on from the Williams behind them with the medium tires. Don't know how long those mediums are going to last until they start to fall off, and they'll start to come under pressure from Callum Pierce behind them on the hards. As there is just a change of position here. What's going on? I don't want to cut away from the action here as Daniel Bakalik leads us away. Once again in Zandvoort, and he's gotten himself a pretty good start, and indeed Elliott Savage is already up alongside the AlphaTauri of William Corey, just taking the inside line there, getting himself up into 2nd place. We've seen this before as they fight side by side into turn 4. There's grip on the inside, grip on the outside, and there might have been a bit of contact with his teammate behind him, Valentino Orlando, but they're all holding station there. William Corey keeps his position. No yellow flags as of yet, but there is a move from Talon Sheik on Jamie Powell, finds himself up into 11th, and there is some fighting at the back of the field for 14th and 15th place. Here we go then. Nice and clean restart. It's possible to do. A bit of oversteer there for Mitch Snape perhaps, as Talon Sheik is looking to get up side by side with the 2 of them. And that is a Haas just teleporting all around. And someone has gone off, and that is Jeeton Menda in the Ferrari, finding himself on the wrong side of the track in turn 11. Gets himself turned around, ready to go. Talon Sheik is going to be charging through the field on those new mediums for sure. Oh, well, you don't want to charge through the cars. You want to go past them, but through the field there. As, I'm actually not quite sure if there's any contact made or if that's just a lag from Mitch Snape's side. Here we go then, side by side into turn 1, Kyle Mack and Callum Pierce. Mack has found himself up into 5th position, so running very well after some early troubles is the McLaren driver. And might be looking to swoop around the outside of Valentino Orlando as well. Look at that move. He's going to be having the inside line for the very long turn 8. And I think Orlando just has to concede that position for the moment. As actually the other Williams of Elliott Savage is down in 14th, so a spin for Valentino Orlando's teammate, who is now coming under pressure from Callum Pierce behind him. Might have just shut the door a little bit there, slowed up Callum Pierce, and that might be allowing Powell through on the outside of turn 11. Not quite. But he's going to be looking to dive down the inside as we go into the infield section. Is anybody going to brake late? There's a bit of contact made as the Mercedes just wasn't expecting the move for some reason, and both of them go around. So Callum Pierce and Powell find themselves facing the wrong direction at turn 13. And they'll be running nose to tail once again, so hopefully no more contact for those two. Speaking of those two, these two have indeed pulled away from the rest of the field a little bit once again. Bakalik and Cowrie just having their own little fight up at the front of the field. Kyle Mack on hard tires is going to be looking to charge up to them. Valentino Orlando finds himself in a very good fourth after qualifying outside of the points, I believe, 11th or 12th. So running well so far. You just need a clean race to get a good position, it seems. Into the pit lane comes Mitch Snape for a front wing adjustment. Or replacement, I should say. And everything's starting to settle down a little bit once again. Just a little bit. I'm sure something's going to be kicking off here sometime soon. Let's take a look at how many pit stops have been taken so far. Actually, let's not. Let's take a look at William Kari making a move on Daniel Bakulik into turn 13. Bakulik with the inside line on the chicane just keeps himself ahead. Here we go then. I don't know how to control. William Kari is just hanging behind them for the moment. Further back, is Talon Sheik going to be looking for a move on Valentino Orlando? He has the newer tires, he has DRS, he has ERS, and he has 4th position, and he has the fastest lap as well. Further back, once again, Powell and Pierce fighting amongst themselves. Probably a little bit bitter at each other for the contact earlier on, but cleanly racing at the moment. Harvey Conway finds himself behind Jack Cockane. Also on newer medium tires, so he'll be looking to use that grip advantage to his advantage to get up into 6th place here in just a moment as we get into the grip limited technical sections of turns 9, 10, and 11 and going into the infield. Front to nose to tail. Once again, we saw a move or an attempt made from these two on the previous lap, but just a little bit too far back for the AlphaTauri. Hangs behind the Haas for the moment, as side by side are Jack Cockane and Harvey Conway. Conway gets up into 6th position. And here's another move on the infield section. Powell and Callum Pierce. No, that's his teammate, actually. Powell looking to get rid of those Mercedes from his rear view mirror. He won't be wanting to see much more of them. There we go. I should take a drink of water here. Oh, someone has gone off, and that is the Mercedes driver of, let's see here, Borexia. So finds himself facing the wrong way out of turn 1 as he was running with his teammate. Talon Sheik looking for a move on Kyle Mack even, so 6-lap-old mediums compared to the 13-lap-old hards. No debate as to which tire is going to be giving more grip, but how easy is it going to be to make a move on Kyle Mack into the chicane here as it appears to be starting to rain? I believe I see some raindrops starting to form. Can I ride on board with one of these drivers and see? Yes, there is water on the lens of the camera. So, this is yet another interesting development here in Zandvoort. I cannot contain my smile here as we're going to be seeing people coming into the pit lane in the next few laps trying to get to the intermediate tires. Talon Sheik looks to be making a move onto the inside of Kyle Mack into turn 1. Straddles the curb a little bit there. That's not really what you want to do, but he makes a move stick. Kyle Mack just has to back out there as the track might be getting a little bit slippery. Someone is into the pit lane for intermediates. That's Jack Cockane in the Alpine. Here we go. I was about to say Aston Martin. There are too many teams that start with A. Here we go. This is going to be exciting. How much time is he going to be able to make on anyone else who hasn't pitted yet? Valentino Orlando pits from, I believe he was running, what, 4th or 5th? Very good position from him. So he pits early as well onto new intermediate tires. Is he going to be able to undercut some of the people who haven't pitted yet? Track doesn't appear to be extremely wet. It doesn't look to have that little sheen yet. But I'm seeing more and more people coming to the pit lane now, so it must be getting more and more wet. So intermediates will be the tire of choice. As I assume pretty much everybody else is going to be pitting this lap. Maybe someone will want to stick it out for some track position, get a little bit of an overcut going. Who knows? It's a bit of a risk in the rain for sure. On the final corner comes Bakulik, stays out. William Kari also stays out. So not everyone looking to pit. Talon Sheik stays out. Kyle Mack stays out. So it might have been a bit early for the 3 intermediate adopters right now. Here's Powell and Pywell, nose to tail. Powell with the DRS on Pywell. And not quite looking for a move into turn 1 just yet, or maybe he is. It's a bit of a late lunge. Gives a little bit of a nudge to the side pod there as they run side by side, running into turn 4. This is going to be a bit more dangerous with the track getting more slick, and Pywell just backs out a little bit as Callum Pierce goes a little bit deep into turn 4. Surely the track is getting more and more wet as time progresses on. Isn't this just exciting? Sam Hussein has left the session. He was unfortunately taken out of the race under safety car, I believe, if I remember correctly. Very unfortunate happening to him. Front two now. Talon Sheik is actually just catching up to the back of these two. So plenty of pace seen from the Red Bull driver after having a bit of a collision on lap 1. As the front runners are still staying out, so the track looked to be getting more and more slippery, but nobody wants to blink first. I am now pressing the wrong buttons. I want to view this little fight here, as just as I cut to this little fight here on the final corner, Callum Pierce goes around on the final corner and loses part of his front wing, so surely he'll be in for a new wing, perhaps some intermediate tires, or certainly some intermediate tires. Gian Menda also speeds into the pit lane, finds himself with a penalty. Very easy to do in the wet. The racing line is not very helpful there, as someone has gone around. That is Jamie Pywell on turn 4, so surely this time, everyone, they're going to be in for new intermediates. And if I am wrong, well, it wouldn't be the first time. Bakelite comes up to the back of a lap down Mark Vezjak, or about to be a lap down Mark Vezjak. DRS disabled, that's how you know. Track is certainly too wet to continue on slick tires. Surely. Well, look at me, aren't I just wrong every single time? Bakelite stays out, Kari stays out, nobody wants to blink first. Once again. Surely there's time to be gained, you would think, on intermediate tires. Pitting now. I mean, I know you're going to lose time, because you're going to be going slower into the pit lane, but you're going to be gaining so much more time than everyone else who has to struggle on wet conditions on slick tires. Let's just take a ride on board with William in the AlphaTauri. Plenty of rain on the track and on the lenses. How difficult is it to keep this AlphaTauri under him? Actually, doesn't seem all that bad, I have to say. A little bit of short shifting, more progressive on the throttle, but that's what you'd expect. Alright, perhaps if I say they're not going to come in this time, that'll be what gets them. So definitely not coming in this lap are the leaders for new intermediate tires. Track is most certainly still dry enough for those old hard tires. They definitely don't want to be coming into the pit lane at the moment. They'd lose plenty of time. And look at that. I'm just correct, aren't I? All the time. Dando Bakelite stays out. Alright, Talon Sheik now comes into the pit lane. Also picks up a speeding penalty, as is pretty much expected of a very wet pit entrance. Having to brake very early is everyone on those slick tires going into the pit lane. As Bakelite comes up to his fellow Haas driver, Corey's out of the session. Corey is out of the session when we are under safety car, so maybe that's what the slick runners were waiting for. So we're on board with Powell at the moment, let's actually get on board with Talon Sheik. Let's see if we can find out where the AlphaTauri is exactly, as Talon is going quite slow and just appears to have lost it on the exit of turn 4. Did William Corey, so both AlphaTauris now out of the session, and I dare say Daniel Bakelite will be into the pit lane this lap. There's no time like the present on a wet track during the safety car. But you know what that does? Gives Talon Sheik... oh, it's a virtual safety car. We are back to green. Now, I am just silly for not looking at the at the, what do they call them, little flag signal boxes on the sides of the track would tell you if it is a virtual safety car or a full safety car. I assumed it was a full safety car. Here we go then. Backlick still stays out. The track is getting more and more wet. You're starting to see some of that water accumulate on the track. Backlick has quite a gap to himself and Kyle Mack at the moment. Tail and Sheik on intermediate tires, 13-second gap up to the car ahead, and he is going into the pit lane. Now that is not what I expected to see. Both end plates are there. He's on what I would assume are the right tires. What is he going in for? More people are coming into the pit lane. What has happened here? It's a drive-through penalty for speeding under a virtual safety car. Yes, I saw that pop up and completely forgot about it 5 seconds later. Let's look at the penalties then. Yes, okay, so Harvey Conway has himself a drive-through penalty as well for speeding under the virtual safety car, as does Jamie Powell in the Alfa Romeo. There we go. Got that out of the way. And surely these slick runners are now struggling. Please, let me be correct on this one. For once, I would like to say that Daniel Backlick should come into the pit lane now. Let's just have a peek. Probably not. Well, he does have himself a good gap between himself and Kyle Mack. And Tail and Sheik as well. Does not speed into the pit lane. Very well done. Kyle Mack comes in as well. Very early braking. Very well done as well. So, Harvey Conway finds himself in third position. I believe he still has a drive-through penalty to serve. Tail and Sheik is already on intermediate tires, so he'll be wanting to get up to the back of Backlick and Mack as well, as they're just coming out of the pit lane now. So, it appears that the early intermediate runners have not quite gained as much time as they would have wanted. Here we go. Conway into service penalty now. Valentino Orlando still running a good race in fourth. There we go then. Jeeton Menda. Pretty much haven't mentioned him the entire race. Running a calm one in sixth. As the last few slick tire runners are into the pit lane. And our final Mercedes slick tire runner in now. Alright then. So, a wet Zandvoort. Much more slippery than a dry Zandvoort, as already a slippery track for myself, at least. I'm sure many other people find it that way, especially turn 11, that long left-hander. Always losing the rear there. And I'm sure turn 4 isn't going to be much better. So then, the drivers would have known that there is some rain coming at the end of the race. Has anybody gone to a wet setup in hopes to make up some time in the race as opposed to running a dry setup for qualifying? Now, there are not a whole lot of laps left to go, but it is possible that we may see some people showing their true colors now that the rain is coming down. Everyone seems to have spread out quite a bit. We've already lost 4 cars, so only 14 still remain in the race, and they are all over the track. No immensely close battles, and as I say that, Orlando and Conway very close to each other heading into turn 4. Is there anything the Williams driver can do? It's going to be even more difficult to make an overtake in the rain, but you never know, as there is a McLaren around, and that is Kyle Mack out of the race. So Kyle Mack loses it coming out of turn, turn 9. And that's not the first time he's lost the car today. I see now on the track map the safety car is on the track, so full safety car this time. And we may see a very unusual winner of the race, perchance. We've seen quite a few of the same people running up at the front of the field. Kyle Mack, Adams Niger, but now Backlick leads the field once again. That massive gap that he had built to Tail and Sheik behind him is now dwindling away under the safety car. But he does have a slightly newer intermediate, so that might give him a little bit of an advantage, as I just believe I saw someone teleport back onto the track on the track map. I believe that was Ferrari, perchance. I'm not quite certain. Savage and Orlando running nose to tail once again. The Williams just can't keep each other apart. Followed by Gallant Pierce and Powell in the McLaren. These two can't seem to keep each other apart either. Into the pit lane comes Jeeton Menda for Ferrari, so he's going to be losing some track position to... Oh my, what am I looking at here? He's going to be losing some track position to the Williams behind him, but there is a new set of mediums going onto that Ferrari, and that is a strange call to say the least. As you can see, it is very wet, and someone else is into the pit lane as well. That's Powell. Surely, new mediums. What am I witnessing here? The track doesn't appear to be very dry. There's a new front wing for Powell. So is it a case of needed to pit for a new front wing, forgot to change the tires in the MFD? No, that is not the case, as another person is into the pit lane. And I'm going to be real with everyone. I've done a little bit of league racing on F122 in my time, and I am completely lost as to what I am witnessing. So, 3 cars, now onto medium tires, new mediums for all of them. Jeeton Menda in Ferrari, Powell in the McLaren, and Jamie Powell for Alfa Romeo find themselves on a very slick tire compound on a very slick Zandvoort. Someone else is coming in. That is, oh, that's Bezjak. I was thinking that might have been Conway there for a second. Everyone is going on a new medium. So is the track drying up already? I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. It must be. I mean, more and more people are coming onto the medium tires. That was also a front wing change for the Aston Martin, but also a pit stop for... who else was in the pits there behind, or just in front of the Aston Martin? Oh, who knows? Everyone's out of position here, out of order. Oh, well, that was actually a hard tire. So a hard tire compound for Elliott Savage. Nobody knows what tire compound to go on at the moment. Is it intermediates? Is it mediums? Is it hards? Let alone what dry tire compound to use. What weather tire compound do you use at all? How about Mitch Snape goes on to full wets? That'd be something to see. Nope, he goes on to soft. So there we go. We've got 4 different tire compounds running here in Zandvoort. Goodness. I mean, it is raining. My eyes don't deceive me. The track looks wet. It's got that little sheen to it. It looks like a wet track. The rain is falling. Mitch Snape barely keeps it within the white line on pit exit. But he has new soft tires, so here we go. If you didn't think the race was chaotic before, it's only going to get more chaotic now, as there are 4 different tire compounds spanning 2 different weather. What do I want to say? Weather compounds? That doesn't really sound right. 2 different weather philosophy tires. There's dry tires and there's wet tires, and there's soft, medium, and hard dry tires. There we go. Just gotta reword myself here. This race has already taken a bit of a toll on the old noggin of your commentator here. As we're gonna be under safety car for quite some time, as there are some cars still pretty much half a lap away that need to join up to the back of the queue. Fortunately, the intermediate tires of the front runners don't really fall off too much when they get cold, so it won't be too bad. Oh, someone else is into the pit lane. Why not throw on another set of soft tires for our Mercedes friend? Well, you know what? I was just gonna say, it doesn't look like there's more rain falling at the moment, but no, there's definitely more rain falling. If I were Backlick right now, I'm not quite sure what I'd think. The track is wet. I mean, it certainly isn't dry. We'll say that much. Is it wet enough for inters, or is it dry enough for dries? Safety car is in this lap, so it just doesn't even care that there are people that need to catch up to the back of the queue. I would be a little tense if I were Backlick right now, seeing so many people on the dry compounds? Are they going to be charging through the field and taking up that first position, or what? Or are those intermediates going to last until the end of the race? So as they cross the line, it's going to be 10 laps to go in Zandvoort. I don't know if the track is wet or not. It looks to be a little bit wet, but maybe not enough for intermediate tires, as Daniel Bakalik leads us away, and it's already a very good start from Talon Sheik, who actually goes into the pit lane. So who knows what's going on anymore. Daniel Bakalik leads us into turn 1. Everyone else behind seems to be keeping it nice and clean here. As side by side are the Aston Martin of, oh, that's Mark Westjack getting left there by a Williams, it looked like, so nothing much there. More people are going onto a dry compound of tires. If I just go on board with a person here real quick, we'll choose Elliott Savage. The rain has indeed stopped falling. Now, isn't that surprising? So the weather can just change at an instant here in Zandvoort, and it appears that the dry tire is going to be the preferred tire as the safety car comes in. So it appears that maybe some of those early dry pitters have realized that the rain was going to let up just after the safety car comes in and have pulled off an absolute masterclass. As Elliott Savage already looking to close the gap that was made by a bunch of late pit callers in front of him. Runs in third place at the moment. Bakalik still in first on intermediate tires. DRS has not been re-enabled by the stewards yet, so the track isn't completely dry. As into the pit lane goes Harvey Conway. So track is most certainly drying at the moment. How can Bakalik rescue this is the question now. So I thought that going onto medium tires was certainly the wrong call as the track was still wet, but I just didn't have the foresight to see that it was going to be drying up in just a moment's time. Will we see an Elliott Savage for the win here? I mean, Jeetan Menda is right behind him on similarly aged medium tires. This is all very interesting. Valentino Orlando goes into the pit lane late and goes onto hard compound tires with only 9 laps to go at the moment. No, it goes on to soft compound tires. And, oh, a new front wing. Something has happened to Orlando. That's unfortunate. But not much of a gap behind Bakalik now, and the field was bunched up behind the safety car. So he's going to be losing quite a bit of time as he goes into the pit lane to probably box for a new set of dry tires. We just saw Jamie Powell causing a short yellow flag there on the exit of turn 9. Doesn't appear to be any damage there. Right then, so Bakalik into the pit lane. Certainly caught out by the changing conditions here in Zandvoort and finds himself dropping down the order. Elliott Savage is up into the lead, followed by Jeetan Menda, Powell in the McLaren, and our Mercedes driver of Burak Zia. Bit of a gap already behind that group, but soft tires for the Mercedes driver. He'll be getting a move on for sure. Further back, it seems this group is bunching up just a little bit here. Everyone's going to be looking for as many positions as they can get. I can't imagine the track is 100% dry quite yet, so might be a few more slips and slides from our drivers. You always need to be ready to capitalize on any mistakes, as Talon Sheik is very close to the back of Callum Pierce. Talon Sheik went from a front row start to dropping down to the back of the order, charging back up to the front, and finds himself now in 9th after some very variable weather conditions in the Netherlands. Moves made into the infield section here. Mercedes seem to have a little bit of a look, but nothing there. Jeetan Menda very close to Elliott Savage now. He knows that he has the tire advantage for the moment. Oh, here we go. Sheik very close to the back of Pierce. DRS enabled already. And he moves made into turn 1. Looked to be a bit of a lunge to the outside from Talon Sheik, but the Mercedes was still there. And a little bit of contact made for chance. A little bit more there, maybe. So hopefully no major front wing damage for the Red Bull driver. And I accidentally cut away from the from the action there. There we go, Tail and Sheik up in front of Callum Pierce. Further up the field, I'm going the wrong way here. Jeeton Menda still very close to the back of Elliott Savage. I don't want to miss any moves for the lead, but there's plenty happening up and down the order. Menda still looks to be a bit too far back to make a move there. Behind that group is Powell in the McLaren, and then quite a gap already to the Mercedes and the Haas drivers who are on softs and setting the fastest laps of the race. And just looking to close up that gap is Tail and Sheik. We've seen some daring moves from the Red Bull already. He'll be looking to make another one on Harvey Conway. Around the outside of turn 4, not quite side by side enough to make a move there. Is he going to be having the drive out of the exit of the corner? It looks like he might just. And is he going to lunge down the inside of turn 8? Well, it's not really somewhere you want to send a lunge. So just holding back for the moment. Let's see here. Ooh, on the inside, he's just desperate to make a move on the Aston Martin, but that little look down the inside put Harvey Conway a little offline. Sheik with the DRS now, but he doesn't have much battery left to spare, so can't quite make the overtake there. Just looking to play a little bit of mind games, it appears, is our Red Bull driver. The two Haas drivers are finding themselves nose to tail coming onto the main straight. Medium tires versus soft tires, and Backlick pulls to the inside of turn 1, harvesting down the straight, but he's got the DRS, and Snape not fighting that one too hard, lets him through. So are the soft tires falling off already? It's a possibility. I mean, soft tires don't really last too much time. While I'm pondering that, Tail and Sheik makes a move for 7th place, and someone has gone off. That is an Alfa Romeo. That is Jamie Pywell, who has gone off at turn 1. Brief yellow flag, no harm done. How has this Mercedes come to split the two Haas drivers? We just saw them swapping positions, and what pops this Mercedes here? Plenty happening up and down the field once again. What is, I keep seeing this Aston Martin and McLaren very close to each other. I assume that is Vezjak in the Aston Martin. Yes, it is. Okay. Keep seeing them very close to each other, and I want to cut to them, but no moves for positions there. From the front of the field, Savage has already... he's got a bit of a gap, for sure, but is Jeeton Menda going to be looking to take that gap away as Mitch Snape makes a move on the Mercedes, as the Mercedes pits, perhaps for simply new tires? Simply new tires, it looks like, so interesting late call from the Mercedes. Mitch Snape on soft tires already seems to be dropping into the clutches of Tail and Sheik on those mediums, so perhaps it is true that the soft tires are falling off already. Certainly worth a try, though. Here we go. Down the inside of turn 11, not waiting for the DRS. Goes Tail and Sheik to make that position. None of them get DRS, because apparently that's how that works. Brief yellow flag for appeared to be a Williams there out of turn 1. And Mitch Snape might be dropping into the clutches of Harvey Conway as well. As we run the final corner, Snape already out of DRS range of Tail and Sheik. Or did he get it there? Yeah, he just barely held on to the DRS. So, no moves made from Harvey Conway quite yet, but Mitch Snape is not going to be able to stay in that DRS range, I wouldn't think, as those soft tires start to deteriorate much quicker compared to the mediums. Right then, Snape, well out of DRS range of Tail and Sheik ahead of him. Will Harvey Conway be able to make the move into turn 12 with the DRS? Not much battery to go off of, but as we cut to the next camera angle, there we go, around the outside. Might have gone a little bit deep there. Gonna invite Mitch Snape back in the inside, and actually completely loses the car. Does Harvey Conway, and sends Mitch Snape for a little bit of a pirouette, but very well held by the Haas driver, and very luckily ghosted there for Callum Pierce. So, move made, mistake made from Harvey Conway. Mitch Snape keeps that 7th position, loses out to tire temperature, it looks like, as he's just dropping right down through the field and out of the points, and once again sends a little bit of a spin for good measure. Unfortunate from the Aston Martin driver, but there's only 2 laps left to go. Elliott Savage leads us with an 8/10 lead over Jeeton Menda. If Menda needs to make a move now if he's going to make one at all. And just for good measure, Conway speeds into the pit lane and understandably retires. So, only a couple laps left to go. Backlick is on the back of Powell. No moves made into the final couple of corners, but he's going to be looking side by side down the DRS straight. And both of them are hurting for battery, it would appear, but only one of them gets the DRS. Will Backlick pull to the inside? Takes a little bit of a look, but a little too far back to send a lunge. And has to sit behind Powell for just a little bit longer, as there's an Aston Martin getting out of the way for our drivers. And, appeared to just lose the rear a little bit, did Backlick. So, dropping a little further behind Powell. But still well within DRS range if he needs to get back up to that McLaren. Menda has pulled the gap down a little bit, so he is pushing now. Wants to get that win. He's heard my words. If he needs to make a move, needs to make it now. There we go, nothing quite happening there, but Backlick and Powell still very close to one another. And nothing into 12 and 13. I think these two groups are going to be fighting each other very hard down the pit straight. We see Elliott Savage in front. That light blinking means he's harvesting down the pit straight. Losing a bit of top speed there, but still holds on to first place as we head into the final lap. Powell as well staying ahead of Backlick behind him. These are the two groups to watch at the moment. Savage just needs to keep it clean, deploy the battery when he needs to. Keep Jeeton Menda behind him for the win. These two are right close to each other. Is there going to be a move made? Nope, not here. Very smart. Jeeton Menda just staying within that 5/10 gap there. Oh, Backlick is around. Backlick is around. Might have been going side by side with Powell, but well, that fight's well and over. As there's only one more opportunity now for Jeeton Menda to take first place, I'm sure he'll be happy enough with second. But as we round the final corner, Elliott Savage leads us to the line and crosses the line to take the win in a very chaotic race in Zandvoort. Behind him, Jeeton Menda, very close behind in the Ferrari. Then comes Powell in the McLaren, takes the final podium position. Talon Sheik, with a very chaotic race of his own, takes fourth place. Then Backlick was fighting Powell for that final position, podium position. There's the word I'm looking for. Crosses the line without a front wing to take fifth. Callum Pierce in sixth. Mitch Snape in seventh. Then comes Jack in the Alpine. Crosses the line now to take eighth. And our friend at Mercedes crosses the line to take ninth. Orlando didn't finish. What's happened to him? I'm not quite sure. So definitely a race of attrition there as our final car crosses the line there. Very chaotic race all around. Certainly I don't assume anyone was betting on a Elliott Savage win, but here we are. Elliott Savage is a winner. Well driven from him and everyone else up at the front to keep it a clean race in and amongst themselves. Sometimes being clean and being consistent is better than being fast. Well, it's not like these drivers are slow, but they are most certainly clean. Here we go then. I'll just take a bit of a scroll through the standings and the race director for anyone who needs it. Very interesting strategies from some of our drivers here. A 4-stop from Tail and Cheek, who had to replace his front wing a couple of times. Still came fourth, or 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a bit of a 5-stop, isn't it? Or is that saying he started on mediums? You'd think I'd know this game by now, but here we are then. Alright then, that'll do it for today's race in Zandvoort. Thanks for watching. We hope to see you next week in GRS in Tier 3. See you then.